Good evening, everybody. This is February the 27th, 2014. In just 2 short days, it will be March the 1st. This year's gone by so quickly. I don't think I haven't made a video in a while, and I remember last month I missed the whole month of January of work on sick leave because I was so sick, and now the month of February is gone too. Where does time go? But I'm much better. For people in my age group, you will probably remember Jim Lang. Jim Lang was the host of The Dating Game, and he has passed away at the age of 81. His wife says that he suffered a heart attack and passed away. He, like I said, if you were in my age group, you probably remember him. You'll probably remember The Dating Game. And I remember when we were little, coming home, after school and watching The Dating Game. And some of the people that were guests on there, I didn't know, or I just didn't remember. I've probably seen it, but I just didn't remember. Such as Arnold Schwarzenegger was a contestant on The Dating Game. Farrah Fawcett was a contestant on The Dating Game. All this was back in the 70s. And even Michael Jackson was a contestant on The Dating Game. So, while they were all contestants on The Dating Game, there's a particular person on there that was also a contestant on The Dating Game, and I don't know how many of you are going to remember him. His name is Rodney Alcala. I think that's how you pronounce it, Alcala. Rodney Alcala. Now, I looked at the video with him on there, and he's a charming young man, had the long hair down to the shoulders, and of course that was the thing back in the 70s. Rodney Alcala is a convicted serial killer. He has raped and murdered several women, and they say that there could be more that they're not aware of. He was, I think it was 78 or 79 when he was a contestant on The Dating Game. And he had already, in 1968, he had raped an 8-year-old girl. Let's see, it says he was the first contestant to be introduced in the game show episode. Yeah. He, and so years before he was ever on there, he had already raped an 8-year-old girl. They said that he had also raped and killed, I don't know whether it was 1 or 2 women, too, before he went on the game show. But the thing of it was, he had got out of it. He got out of it somehow. I don't remember how he got out of it. You'd have to look that up. I was reading about it earlier, but he got out of it. But and I don't think they could prove it. I think that's what it was. I don't think they could prove it. And at this time, when he was on the game show, I don't think they knew about that 8-year-old girl. He but yet he was convicted sex offender. He was already a convicted sex offender, but they let him become a contestant anyway. He worked his charms. He was bachelor number 1. He worked his charms with this lady, and she did pick him. She picked him. However, it had updates on that after that. It said that she refused to go out with him. After you picked a bachelor, the two of you talk on the phone or whatever. They set a date up and this, that, and the other. But after she had picked him and got to talking, she refused to go out with him. She refused. And when they asked her why she refused to go out with him, she said he was just too creepy for her taste. He was just too creepy. And it's probably a good thing that she did not go out with him, because she might have very well been one of his victims. They were trying to say that because of the fact that she refused to go out with him may be why he went on to kill 2 other women after that. But that's just not so. He'd done it before. He was going to do it again, whether she went out with him or not. they're talking about uh, the other men that were contestants with him talking about how he was creepy. Um, the bachelor number 2 that sat next to him said there was something about him I couldn't stand to be near him. And said, I'm kind of bending towards the other guy to get away from him. And I don't know if I did that consciously, but thinking back on it, I probably did. That's what he said. The girl that was supposed to go out with him was Cheryl Bradshaw. You could look that up on YouTube, and you could see her question him and pick him as a date. It said, if Alcala appeared likable to viewers at home, Mills said he was the complete opposite when they sat together in the show's green room. So, apparently, he was quite obnoxious. Yeah, they just said he was very obnoxious and creepy. Says he became very unlikable and rude and imposing, as though he was trying to intimidate. Which he probably was. You know, he was trying to intimidate. Within months of his dating game appearance, Alcala would become a killer. But he was already a killer that I read earlier. Before he got on there, they just couldn't prove it. He also murdered a 12-year-old girl in 1979. And before the decade was over, Alcala would claim 4 more victims. And that was according to his testimony at his trial. But it could have been more than that. He now is sitting on death row. Now, look how long he's been on death row. And he's not dead yet, so, you know. And, of course, at the front of this video, I've got his picture. That was his dating game. Yeah, the dating game picture that I got posted at the front. But he's, you know, he looks crazy in the picture that you see of him now if you look him up. He's still got sort of the long hair and it's all gray. And, of course, he's aged, but he just looks creepy. So, the girl that was supposed to go on out with him, they said here that she said that she still has a difficult time discussing Alcala. And said the more time has gone by, the creepier it gets. She said because it kind of sinks in slowly what this guy did. And it still kind of haunts me a bit, she said. So she said just talking about it, I get a tightness in my stomach. Which I bet she does, because she almost went out with that guy. And, yeah, he might have done her in. So, anyway, do you remember the dating game? Do you remember Michael Jackson being on the dating game? Do you remember Arnold Schwarzenegger being on the dating game? Do you even remember the dating game? Anyway, until next time, bye-bye.